What's up, dudes and dudettes? It's been a while since I've done any tech because I got a new capture card. Maybe I mentioned that. I'm very excited about it. Hopefully, it is better. Um, but today we're talking about Shazam's advanced corner game. In the past, I didn't do a good job on expanding on Shazam's potential. I feel like I basically just said oh, you can cross up after his command grabs basically. I was like, oh yeah, you could cross up back two. Excuse me, you can cross up, jump two, jump three, stuff like that. And that is really not that's not representative of everything he's capable of. So we're going to be going over three different setups, three different things that you can do specifically. Atlas Torpedo, or Double Down 2, which I think is the most valuable and the most interesting. Uh, Atlas Torpedo mix-ups and sweep. So there's a lot to cover. So let's dig in. So firstly, Double Down 2. If you don't know, Double Down 2 forces a really fast recovery. You notice that? I guess normally when you hit the ground, you have a little chunk of time. Actually, let's do after just a single hit. See how he lays there for a fairly long time? If you do Double Down 2, way less time. So what we're working with here is we're going to do something like this. You can do command grab. So you can get a free command grab off of this. Why do you get command grab? Do you notice that Green Lantern's, excuse me, set to duck? You get a free command grab because on wake up for one frame, your opponent is considered standing. So watch this. Notice how Green Lantern pops up and then goes down? So you get a free command grab. As long as you're meaty enough, they cannot escape unless they roll in that specific setup or wake up. So this is really tricky and really fun. Oh, we gotta actually dash because if you do this specific setup, they've lost almost all their life. That's like 86% or something like that, almost 90. So yeah, that that is absurd. So that's number one, right? Landing a meaty command grab is amazing. Next thing that I'd like to talk about, specifically off of this setup, Double Down 2, is you force the opponent to block highs. I don't know why this is. I think it's because you catch them, if you catch them meaty enough, they're just forced to block it. I don't know why, but because they are capable of blocking the high, you can do some really interesting stuff. I think that's probably more difficult to block because they think they blocked it, right? They think that they're safe down there because they blocked, but they don't realize the down or the axe kick is coming. So that's a cool setup. Again, if you do something like this, I think you get the full. You can get the full hands combo. I think it's 45 or 47%. But again, that's 80% damage right there off of literally 1 meter. Crazy with hands. With Solomon's Judgment active. You also can force them to block. Again, this is, excuse me, all of these setups are predicated on the fact that your opponent is not blocking, right? Or is not waking up. Because if they do, all this stuff will get blown up. But again, excuse me. Let me take a second. Not quite sure where that cough's coming from. But we've got, you can block stuff you can force them to block that. So forcing them to block empowered punches is really, really strong, mostly because the chip damage is absurd. You get the normal, whatever the chip damage modifier is, so that's plus 0.07%. So that's, so 2 of these is 0.14, but punches, each of these singular punches gets 2.5% added. So something like this is a lot of freaking damage. It turns out it's what is it? What 7.8? So it's 8% damage basically on bigger characters like Bane and Luther and maybe not Luther, but Doomsday and Solomon Grundy. They all take 3 hits, so you can actually or 3 punches and then down 2. So you get 10% damage, a free chip if they don't push block, and it's all safe. They can't mash out of it because it's +2 +2. What do you do about that? His jab is 6 frames, so his down one is 6 frames. That also allows you again to set up for something like this. Um, so I want to show this off actually because this is cool. This is a dead character. If I can land the combo. This is 35 plus 8 from chip, and then like 50. It's just like it's a great combo. Dead. That's cool. That's cool. So not only this is all off of this excuse me, this down 2, which forces them to get up a little bit quicker. You can throw. So your normal throw comes out in 10 frames, so you actually do have time after the double down 2. But this is you get your plus 14 here, making your overhead 15 frames, which is pretty good. Not much else works here. You can sort of like forward 2 is 16 frames, so it technically comes out in 2 frames, right? They only have 2 frames to whiff, but it doesn't feel like that. I feel like the training mode is off, or like the hitboxes are funky because I'm pretty sure you can like down to that because the blocking hitbox is different, and like there's weird stuff like that. So I would never trust that. You could maybe land sweep, but his sweep is very unsafe compared to a lot of other stuff. So like off of this, I would say attempting maybe that, or if they're blocking and you're quick enough, I think you can like slightly walk forward and get a nice little down 2 for any sort of tick setup you want. Right, so that's cool too. So there's a lot of stuff here, and a lot of this excuse me, will also be applicable to both sweep and Achilles clutch, but there's just a lot of stuff to cover here. So really, really, really cool setups off of this double down 2. But I think the most valuable are the fact that you get a free command grab if you're smart, and they block. Powerful stuff there. Dead character. And you get all of this. You're plus enough to do whatever you want. Right? So meaty 2-2, meaty 1-2, excuse me. All of this, right? So there's a lot of stuff there. I would suggest like you are plus and you can jump, but it's just like that's something that already happens, right? That's something we already do. That's not new. Next up, Achilles Atlas Torpedo. So I believe I covered this in another video, but if you'll notice here, if you allow Green Lantern to normally wake up, he wakes up on the correct side, right? Because you should have pushed all the way through to the wall, to the corner. But if you use any standing button, any standing button at the right time, you will appear on the other side with frame advantage. So actually, let's set him to jump. Well, we don't need this. Doesn't need to jump forward. So it didn't look like much. There we go. So there's your frame advantage, right? So it's enough for a down 1. Now what's cool enough for, excuse me, what's cool, forgive me, what's cool about that is it's entirely unexpected. That is a high risk, low reward thing, but it does put them back in the blender. I would suggest going for like off of this, like throw, his normal throw. You don't have to worry about high-low mix-up, right? That's a mid. I would say like any of his mids down 1, down 2, 2, 2 are probably good. Or I don't know how plus he is off of this setup, because you do have that extra punch there. But you could try something like, you could try to set up a trait, like this. Oh, we can't do that. So he gets a free trait activation. Oh, I've been just hitting the wrong button. Let me try this one more time. So that is technically free. At this range, I bet characters could punish it. But it's like -6, I think. So at certain ranges, you'll be able to punish. But that could be possible. And then into whatever you want, as long as you don't lose, as long as you don't get donked. So there you go. Atlas Torpedo. This specific setup is pure. Excuse me. Is purely because they won't expect you to pop up on the other side. If you do crouching normals, sorry, you will stay on the same side. Right. For whatever reason. I don't really understand it. And if you jump, you'll stay on the other side. So, take with that what you will. This is, again, not like the best setup, but it is a setup that your opponent probably has never seen before. And that gives it value. Last thing I want to talk about was sweep. So sweep is really good, at least on Shazam. So the reason why this is so good with Shazam, at least in the corner, why is that not working? Oh, I should be doing, sorry. You can dash across their body, a lot like Atlas Torpedo. But you could choose to, like, if you're using jump 3 in this specific instance, because you got hands, right? You can use... Sorry, guys. Sorry if that was super loud. Basically, using jump 3 gives you the option to cross up or not cross up. So that was not a cross up. But if you hold it for long enough, if you hold jump 3 for long enough, so if you did it like the top of your jump, and it also depends on, so I clearly don't know enough about sweep, but I think it depends on how high up you are, or how high up the opponent is when you do your dash, right? But that looked like a cross up. That didn't look. I actually don't know where that landed. So the fact that I don't know maybe means this is worth exploring more. You also have your standard. You also have your standard setups, right? With the back two. But with back two can be tricky because you actually need specific timing. Achilles clutch, because their body is lengthwise like this, it's much easier to hit them than it is with a sweep. See how their body's like that? That changes their hitbox, their waking hitbox. And you need to be much more intentional about when you press back two. That being said, really good stuff. this is Shazam's advanced corner game. There's also like, excuse me. There's also other stuff you can do. Um, you can end things in like back 1, 2, 3. This move here. Um, you're only -6, or you're only +3. No, I think you're -6 after that. Why do I think that? +3, back 1, 2, 3. Yeah, excuse me, you're only +6. So you get a free jab. It's nothing too crazy. But again, if they don't see it, if they've never seen that setup before, and you don't get like back to over that. There's other stuff. So this is an advanced setup guide, and hopefully I've covered some stuff that you didn't know. Hopefully you learned something from this, and hopefully you can take this into your future games. At the very least, I want to start using this. Like I want that. I want to do that in one of my games. That would be sick. Um, but that's it, gang. Hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you next time.